Talking about the AFC East, it's been a changing of the guard since the Tom Brady era in New England. Now we have Josh Allen ascending, getting that massive contract, becoming the face of the franchise in Buffalo. We got Tua, hopefully ascending in year 2, hopefully becoming the face of the franchise in Miami. And then now we have 2 rookie quarterbacks with the Jets and Zach Wilson, with the Patriots and Mac Jones. So glad I got all those Mac Jones shares in Dynasty.
Yes.
But let's jump into Zach Wilson and the Jets situation first. The hype is real. We have Tony Romo coming out and saying Zach Wilson looks like the next Mahomes to him, which is just, that's just a dumb take at this point.
A hot take.
Come on, man. Come on.
Watch your mouth, Tony. Come on.
But I comp, and you guys can go back into the offseason, see all of our prospect profile breakdowns. I don't want to get too deep into college takes here, but Zach Wilson to me comps to one of 2 players. It's either Baker Mayfield or like a young Derek Carr. I do think he has shown tremendous accuracy in the preseason, and I'm projecting to be in that QB 8 to 14 range. I think he'll start the year in redraft leagues as a streamer, but looks like he could be more. And if he shows flashes week 1 or week 2, he's a guy that I'm willing to blow a lot of my fab dollars on, especially in Superflex if he's not already on a roster, because Zach Wilson actually has some pretty decent weapons.
Yeah, the thing about Zach Wilson and the hope for Zach Wilson is that he is the Justin Herbert of this season. And I don't think his play style is anything like Justin Herbert. By no means is that a player comp for Zach Wilson. What I mean is, if you think back to the draft last season, there was all the Joe Burrow hype. There was all the hype around Tua. It was tank for Tua for a while until Joe Burrow splashed onto the scene. And in most circles, Justin Herbert was this more raw prospect. People were out on Justin Herbert. A lot of people thought he was going to be a bust at the NFL level by matter of circumstance. He gets into the starting lineup sooner rather than later, and he absolutely balled out. And there was a miss by a ton of NFL scouts, by a ton of analysts. A lot of people missed on Justin Herbert. And Zach Wilson kind of gives you those vibes this season. Like, everyone's talking about T-Law. Everyone's talking about Mac now with the Patriots, who we'll get into. Everyone's talking about the mobile quarterbacks, the more mobile quarterbacks, and Trey Lance and even Justin Fields. And we're like, hey guys, Zach Wilson's in New York starting week 1, and we're forgetting about Zach Wilson. If you ask most people which one of these 5 quarterbacks they think is going to bust, I'm going to bet most are going to say Zach Wilson, and that's kind of the vibe Justin Herbert had last season. So this dude still was the 2nd overall pick in the draft. He does have talent. We'll see what he can do in New York. And just because everyone seems to be writing him off does not matter one bit until these guys get out on the NFL field. So I'm excited for Zach Wilson. I think he could get into streaming consideration. Not someone I'm drafting in a redraft league. I'm probably not going to stash him on my bench either. I would, because of the rushing upside in redraft, rather stash a Trey Lance, a Justin Fields, a Trevor Lawrence. But I'm keeping an eye on Zach Wilson, because if he does come out and has a good game, 2 good games, I'm willing to put him on my bench, because he is a player that could be a high-end streaming option, maybe even an every week starter as the season goes on, if everything cracks the right way and if he hits.
Starts the year against the Panthers. I think we could see big things from him right away in week 1. Then has a rough stretch of the Patriots, the Broncos, the Titans. After that, the Falcons. He does play the Patriots again, but has the Bengals. He's going to play the Bills. He's going to play the Texans. He's going to play the Eagles. So we're going to see, I think, earlier than later. And you might be able to grab Zach Wilson off the waiver wire after that tough stretch of Patriots, Broncos, Titans, and see what he can do. But I'm excited for the weapons group that he has. And really, when we look at his receivers, you have guys that fit into each of their own roles. It's almost like the New York Giants, where now they can have Corey Davis out at X, and Corey Davis is getting really, really interesting in a lot of these leagues. Mm-hmm. And to your point, Alex, the Justin Herbert thing, we could even look at Lamar Jackson getting drafted in the back of the 1st round behind Hayden Hurst by the team that drafted him. The NFL and the NFL fandom has shown us that we're just not good at evaluating quarterbacks at all, both for fantasy and real life. We could look at Josh Allen. We could look at Jalen Hurts. And a lot of these guys, even if they're not the best out there on the field for their teams, can still produce in a big way for us in fantasy. I think Zach Wilson will actually have an impressive rushing floor. But back to those weapons, man, he has a guy that we love, one of the best wide receiver prospects in this entire draft, one of the few guys that impressed at his pro day, had insane college production, was an early declare in Elijah Moore that you and I have both comped to Antonio Brown. Not saying that he's going to be the next Antonio Brown, but his play style is very similar. He's a short guy who you can actually put out on the outside. Granted, now we have Corey Davis in that role, who impressed last year in Tennessee. So I'm loving Corey Davis in these drafts. Where he's going, which is typically 7th, 8th round. Denzel Mims. Denzel Mims is still on that roster. A lot of people are leaving him for dead. I'm not drafting him, but I think he helps Zach Wilson if he can play that deep threat role. He's a monster athlete, runs a 4.3. Jamison Crowder's still there as the old reliable. Definitely going to be a safety valve for Zach Wilson on these short throws. And Crowder's shown that he can produce. He has one of the highest yardage totals of all the receivers drafted in 2015 with Amari Cooper, Devontae Parker, Devin Funchess, guys like that. And then you have the running backs. What I love for Zach Wilson in this LaFleur offensive scheme, this 49ers essentially offensive scheme from Robert Saleh, is that he has 3 explosive running back receivers in Michael Carter, Ty Johnson, and Tevin Coleman. I know these guys are all at different stages in their career, Ty Johnson being the undrafted guy, but I think he's shown a lot of explosiveness in the limited time that he got in Detroit. Tevin Coleman, we all know what he was able to do back in Atlanta. And then Michael Carter is essentially a Clyde Edwards-Helaire minus, right? A poor man's CEH is a great way that I would describe Michael Carter, or even like a Devin Singletary plus, where he can do it in all phases. He can be explosive at times. And then you look at the offensive line in this offense, man, it's stacked. You got Mekhi Becton, 11th overall, now entering year 2, taken in that 2020 draft. We got Elijah Vera Tucker, where the Jets traded up at 14th overall in this most recent draft. I mean, this is going to be a stacked O-line, and I believe what could be a really, really efficient offense where Zach Wilson may not even be asked to do that much early on. And then as the season goes on, he'll open up that playbook, open up that passing game. That accuracy makes him really, really exciting. And that mobility, I think, is going to allow him to extend plays and allow him to produce for all these weapons in New York.
I think people are really underestimating the potential pass volume in New York because we look at what happened there last season. They were 25th in the league in points allowed per game. So they were behind in games. They were giving up points. Yet they were 29th in pass attempts. So there was this really weird situation happening where they were losing games, but the pass volume still wasn't high. Now, unfortunately, in training camp in the preseason, they've suffered some additional injuries on the defensive side of the ball. So that defensive unit probably is going to be giving up some points again in 2021. And with that being the case, with the Jets having this rookie quarterback they're excited about, I don't think they really think they're going to compete this year. Obviously, every team thinks they have a shot. But if I'm the Jets, I want to get Zach Wilson out there. I want to get him a ton of pass attempts running this offense. I want to see what I've got in my rookie quarterback and give him those reps throwing the football. You mentioned the weapons that he has. The pass volume should be higher this season. In worst case scenario, in his rookie year, we should get a Gardner Minshew level season from a fantasy football perspective. Gardner, a 6th round pick. So the talent, the natural talent coming out wasn't nearly as high, but for his rookie year and even last season in an up and down year where he wasn't starting every game, Gardner was streamable in fantasy football. Decent weapons, high pass volume. That could be what we see with the New York Jets. But the talent of a guy like Zach Wilson, I mean, if it's the worst case scenario, I think you're still getting a Gardner Minshew level streamer. Best case scenario could be ridiculous upside in New York. So keep an eye on Wilson. And as your season goes along, he could be one of these rookie quarterbacks that you pick up and that you can plug in and stream. And he could be very, very valuable in these leagues. So definitely don't be writing him off as you come out of your draft.
Yeah, especially when, you see the hate train just based on the headband.
Oh, yeah.
And, the douchey smile, the BYU pedigree. And that's the reason why I didn't love Zach Wilson was his level of competition in college. But we got to throw all that stuff out. I mean, we're seeing Trey Lance coming from the FCS getting all this hype. Why can't the same thing happen for Zach Wilson?